Hello, guys. I hope you're having a nice weekend this weekend. I'm going to tell you what. I'm glad to have you guys here. Thank you for joining up with the show. I'm going to talk about some very important things. As this crisis unfolds, it's becoming clearer and clearer and obvious to me that it's not going to be exactly the way a lot of people think it is. You're picturing a complete Mad Max world out there, and a lot of preppers, are preparing for this. I was on the camp maybe 2 years ago, a year ago even, thinking that could be a possibility. But as we're nearing the crisis and getting closer to it, you can see it better, how it's going to unfold. And it seems to me that it's getting to be less and less of a possibility that we're actually going to go into suddenly have a stock market crash and go into a Mad Max world where everything shuts down. It's getting less and less likely to me that that's the scenario that's going to happen in the immediate future. And it's getting more and more likely to me that something else entirely is going to happen that none of these other forecasters are seeing. And I've been talking about it for a little while now. I'm talking about an economic recovery, a real economic recovery. This economic recovery is going to come as a direct result of the central banks changing monetary policy from what it is right now. Right now, all of the central banks are in a tightening schedule, including the European Central Bank. They're all tightening. And here's the thing. This speech by the Fed just a few days ago that knocked the stock market up a few hundred points. You got to understand that the Federal Reserve and all the other central banks are all data dependent. And they've told you so. They've said, we're data dependent. Okay? They are ready and willing to change their monetary policy in a moment's notice. And in that moment, the markets will all change. And underneath the surface, they're ready to be dovish. If they turn dovish, it's going to cause an economic recovery. If they turn very dovish. And if they start to change their monetary policy. So now let's get in right now and open the charts and take a look at what's going on. Let me get the chart started here. Okay, here's what's going on right now at this moment in the whole deal. The United States today has set a 90-day ceasefire in the economic war with China at the G20. U.S. and China declared 90-day ceasefire on new tariffs, says the White House. Now, this is how quick things can change. Boom, like that. All of a sudden, they're all sitting down at the table. The President of China, the President of the United States, directly across from one another. And both sides look to me like they have a little bit of relief, especially the President of China. I'm looking at the picture of his face right there, and he looks like a man who is, to tell you the truth, he looks like the cat that just swallowed the mouse. He looks pretty damn happy, the President of China. The President of the United States, he looks like he is in his deal-making mode. The art of the deal. The art of the deal. Anyway, so this shows you how quick things can change. We're probably going to have a relief rally in the markets on Monday. It could be quite a good, substantial-sized relief rally on Monday. Do not be surprised if you see a relief in the markets. Now, I'm going to tell you what. Tremendous. If the central banks of the world change monetary policy, can you imagine what that relief rally would look like in the markets? But I'm going to tell you what. Gold and silver and cryptocurrencies, they're all in a bear market right now. And the reason why they're in a bear market is deflationary pressures. Oil prices are falling like a rock. This is putting tremendous deflationary pressures. The dollar is strong. This is putting tremendous deflationary pressures. Now, left unchecked, this deflation could explode into a deflationary event that left completely unchecked, okay, it's like my tooth. I had a bad tooth here, okay? If I hadn't have taken my antibiotic, it could have swelled the whole side of my head up, the size of a balloon. And that's like the deflationary pressures. Leave them unchecked, and they can grow enormous. But the central banks, they have the antibiotics. The antibiotics is more money. And they can never stop adding money to the system. Because if they do, we will go into a deflationary crisis that would destroy everybody and turn the world into a Mad Max world. And an awful lot of economists are worried about that. They're worried. I could name names, but you know the guys out there. An awful lot of them are in the deflationist camp. They're worried that we are going to go into some sort of a deflationary crisis that's going to spiral everything out of control and set us into a Mad Max world where you're going to need your canned beans and everything else. But what I see coming now, I see these sides. Suddenly, I see what I'm seeing, and I'm just seeing it in the last few days, is these sides not letting it go that far. These sides turning and changing their policies before the crisis can get a root or a hold, a real strong hold. Okay, so when the crisis first starts, they jump on it. This was a crisis right here. These tariffs. And they're jumping on it, and it's going to cause a relief rally. Well, I think the same thing holds true with what the Fed's doing with their tightening. When push comes to shove, I think that talk that they had about being dovish that sent the markets up last week is more than just talk. I think when the deflation starts to hit, if the markets roll over too far, I think they're going to react at a certain point, and they're going to have to change their monetary policy. Now, let's talk about cryptocurrencies and gold and silver. You have camps of people out there right now. Your real gold and silver bugs, they hate cryptocurrencies. And I'm going to tell you, some of them really hate cryptocurrencies. They're vehemently in their hatred against cryptocurrencies. And the reason why is for years they thought, hey, you know what? This crisis is going to come. We're going to have massive inflation at a certain point in the future. And they're right. That's what's going to happen. And they think that the world is going to be forced to turning back into a gold standard again. And that gold is going to be the world standard for all of the monetary system. Gold. And the gold that they've been hoarding then would be worth a fantastic fortune. Well, this is why they don't like Bitcoin. They'd like, and cryptocurrencies. They'd like to get rid of the cryptocurrencies because they see that as a threat to the new gold standard. They see that if the cryptocurrencies go way up and they become the new gold standard, then where does that leave gold, they think to themselves. So they're not for cryptocurrencies. They want to see their dream come true, which is the world go back to a gold standard, gold be repriced at $5,000 an ounce. That means silver would probably go up to $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 an ounce or whatever. And this whole thing, and cryptocurrencies die, wither away and die and disappear, and we're back on a gold standard. So they hate the crypto guys. The crypto guys out there, a lot of them, they're not crazy about the gold guys either. You know, they're hoping that their cryptocurrencies is going to become the new world standard, and the gold's going to wither away and not take part of the action. Well, I don't think it's going to happen either of those ways. I think the real thing that's going to happen is both cryptocurrencies and gold and silver are all going to go up in value fantastically because they're both alternatives to the dollar. And I think that these guys who are either for crypto or for gold and silver, they need to get on board with both because it's going to be both. It's going to be both. The same force that drives cryptocurrency to the moon is the same force that's going to drive gold and silver to the moon. And that force is not hit yet. We're in the deflation. The deflation is just going to continue to eat away at the price of gold and silver. It's going to continue to eat away at the price of cryptocurrencies. The deflation. But when this deflation ends, this is when we're going to have our economic recovery. And it's only going to end when the central banks change policy. Well, their policy's data dependent. This drop in the price of oil that we're seeing, massive drop, is being caused by the United States increasing their production of oil drastically. In the last few months, the price of oil, not the price of oil, but the amount of quantity of oil that the United States has been producing has been going up exponentially. Unbelievable how big of increases the United States is increasing production by millions of barrels a day. It's over 11 million barrels a day now. 11.5, I think it is, million barrels a day the United States is producing. OPEC is talking about cutting 1 million, but the United States has increased from like 6 million to like 11.5 million, so they've increased over 5 million barrels a day, increased production. And OPEC is talking about decreasing production or cutting production by 1 million barrels. That ain't going to cut it when the United States is producing 5 extra million barrels a day, and OPEC's talking about reducing production by 1 million barrels a day. It's still 4 million barrels a day overproduction. So the oil price is probably going to have more room to slide, and as it slides, it's putting more and more deflationary pressure on. When we start to go into a deflationary event, very possibly caused by the drastic fall in oil price, I think what we're going to see is, central banks be forced to change monetary policy at that point in time. And it's coming up very soon. Also, there's another number of geopolitical places in the world and problems in the world that are going to exacerbate this deflationary pressure. All of the world's central banks are going to have to do this unanimously at probably around the same time. And when they do that, when they change monetary policy, that's the driving force. That's going to drive crypto, but it's going to drive gold and silver. Let's take a closer analytical view of cryptocurrency right now. Why is cryptocurrency over $4,000 for Bitcoin right now? Why? When it started out, they were a nickel. They should only be a nickel. The reason why is because the world's fiat currencies are unreliable and they're being misused and overproduced. And people are seeing that. And it's this energy that's created from that has brought Bitcoin up as a speculative investment to where it is now, which is an incredible feat. $4,000 per coin. That's an absolutely incredible feat. And it's been caused by the problems in the monetary system. If those problems didn't exist, Bitcoin would still be a nickel. Okay? But Bitcoin has went into a bear market. So is the gold and silver. We can see back when silver went up to $50 an ounce, those pressures from the central bank doing their monetary policy, accommodative monetary policy, is what actually drove cryptocurrency up to, not cryptocurrency, but gold and silver up to $50 an ounce, and over $1,900 an ounce for gold. But the central bank started their, what they call a taper, which meant that they were slowly weaning themselves from that monetary policy. The taper continued for a while, and slowly it ended, and then they went into the opposite of accommodative monetary policy. They began tightening. Now we are starting to see very profound effects from the tightening. Where's all of this going to lead? It's going to lead to them having to change monetary policy. Either that or watch the whole country go bankrupt and watch us go into a Mad Max world. That's not going to happen. I can see right now they're not going to let it happen. They're not going to let the system fall that far into deflation before they react. In fact, the reaction could come as quick as this meeting here to declare a 90-day ceasefire and the new tariffs. See how quick that happened? All of a sudden you see it in the news. Bang. Well, the same thing can happen with monetary policy. All of a sudden, boom, you see it in the news. The Feds come out and they've changed monetary policy. The second that the Fed changes monetary policy, and believe me, they're going to have to, that's the second you're going to see the change in gold and silver. It's also the second you're going to see the change in the stock market. And you're also going to see cryptocurrencies take off at that point in time. So what helps gold and silver to go up? The same energy that's going to make gold and silver go up is the same energy that's going to have the same effect on cryptocurrencies. So you're going to ask yourself, well, which is better, cryptocurrencies or gold and silver? Well, they each serve a practical purpose and a practical function. Number one, they go excellent together, the two. They go together like Reese's peanut butter cups of peanut butter and chocolate, for crying out loud. The gold and silver guys out there that love gold and silver and hate cryptocurrencies to start to see that cryptocurrencies go together with gold and silver like chocolate and peanut butter. Okay? They each have their own qualities. Gold and silver, you can hold them in your hand. They're not affected by any outages in the internet. Your wallet is simple. Just a leather purse maybe or something, you know, to put your silver coins in. It's very simple. It's old-fashioned, it's simple, it's solid, it's what any stacker out there would appreciate, the facts I'm saying. But cryptocurrency is more complicated. You've got to have specialized electronic wallets. You've got to know how to purchase cryptocurrency. You've got to know how to store it in your wallet. If you make a mistake, you can lose a lot of money. You can send your bitcoins to the wrong address, whatever. You know, you got to know what you're doing. If you know what you're doing, you'll never make a mistake with it. It's actually become simple at a certain point. A lot of these gold and silver guys, they've never tried before. So it would be a long learning curve for them to learn how. But it could be very profitable because cryptocurrencies can do things gold and silver. They fit a niche that gold and silver can't do. They can be transferred over the internet like an email. You can send money around the world. And cryptocurrencies, like, say, for instance, Bitcoin, imitates gold. It's a rare, the Bitcoins are rare. They're rare because the computer will only generate 21 million, never generate more, ever. And in fact, it's rarer than gold because of that fact that in the basic program will never generate more than 21 million units. Well, in the ground on the earth, we've got a lot more than 21 million units of gold, a unit of gold being an ounce of gold. We've got a lot more than 21 million still stored in the ground that can be mined out. Well, you mine cryptocurrencies the same way you mine gold and silver. You mine it out of the internet. And for some people, it's hard for them to get their head around that, but it's mined. And it costs money to mine it just like it costs money to mine gold and silver. It's rare commodity just like gold and silver is rare, but it can also do the same thing as gold and silver is you can actually hold it in a wallet safely. Okay, so it can do things gold and silver can't do, but gold and silver can do things it can't do. That's why the two of them go good together. Okay, so here we have it. We see this progressing into this crisis, the first side of it being deflationary. I think the central banks are going to react quicker than people think they're going to react to this deflation when it starts, and I don't think they're going to let us go into a Mad Max world or a Mad Max crisis. But they're not going to have any choice. We are ultimately heading toward a Mad Max crisis, and I'm going to tell you how it's going to happen. First off, when these central banks change monetary policy, everything's going to start to go up again. The stock market, gold and silver are going to take off, so is cryptocurrencies. The dollar is going to start to slide. It's going to start to slide big time once that happens in its value, in its purchasing power. When that happens, expect a recovery, an economic recovery. But your dollars, you're going to have a sudden shock when you walk into like Walmart or you walk into Target, because prices are going to be increasing rather rapidly, more than you've ever seen them increase before. So your wage is not going to go as far. It's not going to purchase as much as it used to. But we're going to be in the middle of an economic recovery. There's going to be jobs everywhere. There's going to be people wanting to hire people everywhere during that time. But you're going to see inflation really start to take hold. Massive inflation. It's during that time, it's that inflation that's going to be the driver for your gold and silver and drive it up in price. And it's going to be a mad rush, actually, into gold and silver at that particular time. And it's going to be a seller's market for gold and silver and for cryptocurrencies. Not as bad for cryptocurrencies. It's going to be more readily available. But for physical gold and silver, it's going to be a very tight supply and very hard to get it. And you're going to have to pay top dollar for it. And at that point in time, top dollar with the price shooting up, it's going to be very difficult. The price might actually shoot up so rapidly, we might actually be in a situation where we actually go into a short period of time in silver. I don't think it'll happen in gold, but in silver we might actually be talking about shortages. And the price shooting up more than $3 a day. And them having to put the blockers in to block the market for 15 minutes while the price shoots straight up more than $3. The market will stop, I think, for 15 minutes. And then when the market restarts, it's going to shoot up $3 again. This is the kind of days we're going to be seeing, and we're going to be seeing multiple days like that probably in silver when that happens. But ultimately, the shortage won't last long. It's only going to last long enough where the price gets up to a point where the available silver out there will start to be sold back into the marketplace. So any shortage in silver won't last very long. It's mostly going to be a price event. Where there's a shortage in silver, it might last for 2, 3, 4 days, and then it'll end when the price goes up a substantial amount and more silver pours into the marketplace from people that are holding silver. There's a lot of silver being held right now in inventories in the world, but it's not for sale. It will be for sale if the price hits a certain point. What will that price point be? It could very well be triple digit in silver. At the same time, you're looking at Bitcoin going past its old highs at the very same time. But the dollar at that point in time is only going to be worth, its buying power is only going to be worth roughly 60% of what its buying power is now. So look for about a 40% chop off of what your dollar can buy once the central banks finally change their monetary policy back again. And it's only going to take a modest deflationary event to force them to the table, the central banks. Just like you see here in the picture. Okay? Being forced to the table, being forced to make a deal, and the deal is going to be accommodative monetary policy being done by all the world's central banks simultaneously. So, as far as the Mad Max world goes, let's get back to the Mad Max world. So the deflation ends. We get the accommodative monetary policy, and the dollar starts to go down. At first, it's probably going to take quite a steep, quite a stark fall down to around 60% of what it's worth now. But it's not going to stop. It's going to continue to slide. It's going to go to 60%, 50%, 40%. And then it's going to start to turn into a panic. And that's when we're starting to head toward what you might term hyperinflation or a crack-up boom. It's that crack-up boom that's going to cause, and that's going to take time to get there. I mean, when they first changed monetary policy, it's not going to come in immediately, the inflation and hyperinflation. It's going to slowly settle in over a period of months. Perhaps even into years before it might go a whole full year before it really starts to, the decline in the dollar really starts to take a strong toehold. As people start to relinquish their dollars that they've been saving. Right now, the dollars are sitting in liquidity traps. People are saving massive hordes of dollars out there. And they're not spending them. They're sitting in accounts. And the thing is once that money actually starts to move out of those accounts and chase after goods, chase after commodities, that's when we're going to see the hyperinflation begin in earnest, because that's going to go faster and faster and faster. And at that point, there's nothing the central banks can do. What are they going to do? They have one tool, you know? And that is money creation tool, to create money. But when you have a hyperinflation, creating money is the last thing you want to do, because it's like putting gasoline on a gas fire. So it's not going to work for them. How are they going to remove all that excess liquidity when it comes pouring into the system and all of these floodgates of money open up? Stored away money that's being stored right now because they're seeing the dollar appreciate in value. But when it's going the opposite way, when the bottom's falling out of the dollar, all this money's coming out of these stored places, and we're talking about over $20 trillion comes pouring into the system, chasing after goods, chasing after commodities. The prices on everything will shoot through the roof. This is rocket fuel for cryptocurrencies. This is almost like forcing cryptocurrencies to become adopted. I mean, you want to make a payment, okay? What are you going to use when the dollar starts to become worthless? Sure, you could send dollars, but your cryptocurrencies are going to be driven up in value, and nobody's going to hang on to their dollars. They're all going to start buying into the cryptocurrencies, and they're going to use the cryptocurrencies to transfer money from one place to another effectively over the internet. Can't do that with your gold and silver. You can't move money from one place to another rapidly with your gold and silver. Now, an awful lot of men out there, very smart men, have seen this problem, and they've tried to combine cryptocurrency with gold and silver. You see them popping up all the time. New types of coins and stuff in the crypto markets that are backed by gold and silver on account in a vault. This also could become extremely popular as a way to send your physical gold from one place to another and still have the gold on inventory. If this grows in popularity too, this is going to drive both up at the same time also as well. I think this is going to become a new trend, and it's going to become more and more popular, having a cryptocurrency that is actually backed by gold and silver. It's going to become more and more popular, and as it does so, as money pours into that space to buy the new cryptocurrency that is backed by gold and silver, and they have to put the gold and silver in a vault, they're going to have to be buying that gold and silver off the market to put it away to use as a store of value for the cryptocurrencies that's attached to it. And this is going to become very popular. And in fact, this could become so popular that it might actually be the answer. Just like I said at the start of the talk, you're talking about peanut butter and chocolate and making a Reese's peanut butter cup, which tastes great. Well, you got gold and silver combined with a cryptocurrency. You can actually move your gold and silver all around the world almost instantaneously. That could become the new wave, even more popular than the other practical cryptocurrencies. But either way, we're looking at a future where anything that's outside the dollar, outside the fiat monetary system, as a way to store money is going to be the popular option once the central banks change monetary policy. Oh, by the way, guys, okay? Coming up early this week, I got to get that tooth removed. The one that's been causing me so much trouble. It needs to be extracted. It's going to get extracted probably Monday, and it's going to get extracted. So if there's a little lapse in my shows and you don't see me on here, it's because my mouth is filled full of gauze. And there might be blood trickling down my cheek, you know, and my mouth might be swelled out a little bit, and it's because I probably can't get on here and do my job effectively. I can't speak through the gauze. So anyway, as soon as I get better to where I can get out there. I'm going to be out there again, you know. I'm thinking possibly maybe a Wednesday or something, you know. So it might be a little lapse in my shows. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and I really appreciate you guys. Bye-bye, guys.